Blessings and welcome to the Law of One. I am Robert, your humble narrator. I am so pleased to share with you conscious channeling from LL Research. Today's question is open-ended. Let's see what QO has to say. I am QO, and I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator, in whose service we come to answer your call this evening. May we say what a joy and blessing it is to us to enter your circle, and to aid in whatever way we may with the spiritual evolution of each, for indeed you do us a similar service by allowing us to serve you. For those who serve learn always more than those who receive. The teacher learns more than the student. Therefore, we are most grateful to you for continuing to be able to refine our understanding of compassion and wisdom. We find that we have been given a blank slate, a tabula rasa, this evening. It is good that the instrument is somewhat fatigued, for the sort of monologue which we would have through this instrument would perhaps be, shall we say, objected to if the instrument were less tired, for we shall touch on more than one subject. We believe that we shall start with the general gaze at the nature of third density. If you could consider an ice that was not cold, but merely a skin over water, that is what your conscious mind is to the ocean of consciousness beneath the lineman of consciousness. Those who have yet not asked what their purpose in life or what their purpose in eternity might be, skate upon that thin covering, thinking that it is life. Indeed, it is a grand illusion, an illusion within an illusion many times. Why are you here? What do you wish for yourself? What is the truth? We have very simple answers, my friends. Too simple for your questions. For the truth is so simple that it is difficult to accept. The truth is that there is one great original thought which created the creation in order that it may know itself better, and by the use of free will moved love, that is, the one great original thought, into manifestation as light, and through the use of this substance, shall we say, or radiation, created all that you see outside of your physical eyes. All of it an illusion, and all of it designed to cause entities to make choices. Not simple and easy choices, not what to have for dinner, but the grand, major choice of this density, to serve others, in serving the one Creator, or to serve the self, realizing that the Creator is within. We are not a service to self contact. We only teach service to others information, but we feel that we are speaking to a group who would wish only positive information. So we are satisfied that we are universal enough in our scope, but we did wish to mention that there are indeed two sides to the story of this particular sphere at this particular time, as each side, the positive and the negative, attempts to polarize itself to the point of being able to form a social memory complex and to make use of the denser and fuller light of fourth density. This is the work in which each of you is engaged in one way or another. The choices are yours, and oftentimes distinctions are subtle and difficult to judge accurately. This is acceptable, for within this density, the whole idea is that you must work upon faith, that which is blind, as faith moves in many ways in the context of many wills, and no two entities follow the same path, as they seek to form a polarity of service to others. We encourage each at this time to realize that all those things which are outer within this illusion are in themselves illusions. That is, they are fields of energy, rather than the materialized objects which your physical eyes behold. The nature of everything is consciousness. Thus, to move the focus of attention most well towards the one infinite creator, it is well first to move the attention from the world of phenomena to the world of paradox and mystery. These two characteristics being the hallmarks of spiritual truth. Although the paradoxes are in later densities blended and unified, the essence of spirituality is an awareness of the absolute polarity of this density, and the dear necessity, the grateful necessity of choosing and continuing to choose one path to the Creator. For it is those who choose, those who risk, those who leap blindly in faith, those who will and hope, who move themselves in a most accelerated manner along the path of spiritual evolution. It is not those who seek this phenomenon and then that. This is what we may call the spiritual seeking, and each of the paths examined. It is well to examine, but in the end, we ask that you consider very carefully the creation of your own system of faith. We do not ask that you believe in one or another story about the Creator. We ask only that you see yourself as a pilgrim on a very long road, that you see yourself in transit and know that the price that you pay for accelerating along spiritual evolutionary paths is discomfort and pain, because the nature of the brain as opposed to the nature of consciousness. The nature of the brain is such that when changes occur, the programming of the biocomputer brain must be altered. This is a painful process. The old programs are, somewhat painfully perhaps, removed, and the energy created by that removal is used to form a new personal understanding or truth. And this crystallization of the self, the understanding of the self, its realization to the creation and the Creator. It moves, but it is difficult. So we warn each seeker that the path is not a comfortable, joy-filled picnic at all times. There are the oasis times, there are the desert times. In terms of the dynamic of human personality, it is necessary that these two basic states of consciousness follow each other seriatim. For there are truths to learn from mountaintop experiences, and there are the same sacred truths to learn when deep in the valley of mundane ordinariness. Now, those who work upon themselves may find it easy to undervalue those who skate along the skin of life. Remember always that the universe is an utter metaphysical democracy, as all entities are portions of the one infinite creator in its active principle. The creator is made up of its active principle, which is each entity with consciousness, each planetary entity, each sun entity. We would focus upon the crystallization of one's will and one's faith. The desires which are within each must be fulfilled before the entity is free to depart this illusion for another, more light-filled illusion, to learn further lessons. All further lessons being the refinement of the choice made in this density. Thus, we ask that you be very careful of that which you desire, for you shall get it, and that before you may move on to the next density. Therefore, a prerequisite to graduation from this density is to have done all those things which you wish to do, and have purified the desire to know the point where that which you desire is to know the will of the Creator within. It is very difficult to know that will until one who has worked with the self for some time. The process of daily meditation in a listening sense rather than creative visualizations, we feel is central. For in listening to the silence within, passages are opened from the consciousness to the subconscious mind, and voices may come upwards from the roots of the tree of mind and break through the threshold of consciousness and enhance and sustain the life experience. Now, how should one go about this task and this joy? One may begin in many ways, but once one has settled upon a daily spiritual time, a daily spiritual routine, a daily spiritual practice of the presence of the one infinite creator, then we suggest that you stop looking up and down the aisles of the supermarket of spiritual values, thoughts, and phenomena, and to move into that leap of faith, acting upon that which moves you the most greatly. Of any inspiration, thoughts, and ideals with which you may have come into contact. Then it is persistence, and persistence alone that brings the results that you wish. Meditation upon meditation upon meditation, not done any fancy way necessarily, done on the run, done when the clock strikes, done when the noon whistle sounds. Centering and calling for the presence of the one Creator, even momentarily, is a steadying and stabilizing experience, a part of the crystallization of a personality. Now, we are aware that there is interest in crystals in this group this evening. The crystals are a large subject, and we do not wish to instruct you in them, as there are others far more able to speak within the inner planes of your planet than we. But let us say this, that without the entity becoming crystallized, the crystals are only rocks. The crystalline nature is that which may hold a metaphysical reality. Now, within the illusion, you are not real. You are a personality shell. In order to become real to the self, in order to become conscious of one's own self-consciousness, one must become conscious of the discipline of the personality, of the choices one is making, of the thoughts one is making. For the time is coming more and more when thoughts, especially negative things, move into manifestation with ease, there being much fourth density energy already upon your planet. The creation is a subjective thing. We have found nothing but illusion. And yet, still we seek the one infinite creator as we refine our path, as we become more rested, more trusting, more joyful, more relaxed, and more intent upon a single-minded goal of practicing the presence of the Infinite One. We find, as we have said, that we continue to find ourselves in the divine discomfort of learning, in the difficult and sometimes painful cleansing of the self of those idiosyncrasies which are not necessary and perhaps are seen as stumbling blocks to a continued, persistent, and successful seeking to accelerate the rates of one's spiritual growth. That one may so accelerate this growth is so, else we would not be here. However, my friends, we cannot tell you that the work is all joy, all love, all ease, and all merriment. When one is dealing with mystery, when one comes up against paradox after paradox, one can be fascinated, but never comfortable, in the ways of those headless ones who feel that they are but hairless apes which are born and then are no more. Each of you is a portion of the infinite creator. Each of you is precisely equal. The murderer, the rapist, the saint, and the fool. For each of you has the entire constellation of possibilities within. And it has been with each a matter of choice after choice after choice as to how to live the life, how to serve the Creator, how to practice the presence of the Creator, and how to serve others. Perhaps the most difficult question of all. We study this still. We have found that it is foolish of us to attempt to serve others before they request it. We heard you speaking of the individual that is voiced, Yadhi, Vahi, or Yahweh, or Jehovah. This entity, which was a group entity and a guardian of this planet, a member of the Confederation, was extremely helpful in finalizing our code of ethics as regards this planet. For the plan to create improved, healthy human physical vehicles for souls turned from a plan which was focused upon entities being more able to move more quickly in spiritual growth and in service to others, into a disaster where those who were somewhat superior mentally or physically simply became bellicose and worldly, moving away further and further from service to others. The quarantine upon your planet was therefore placed after this experience, and we may assure you that the positive entity whose name was described as Yahweh moves still in this density, attempting insofar as it may to correct the damage it has done. However, it is human nature that in an apparently separate universe, that is, each entity being separate from each, Many would feel that the best way to serve others is to become strong in oneself, and this is easily turned by the entity who is not careful into an absorbing self-interest, which removes the entity from the mainstream of human suffering and joy. It is well to be painfully and vulnerably in touch with the dynamics of this illusion, for the choice making is easier in the face of the facts. The decision to jump into the thin air of faith is made possible only because of an ultimate grasp of the fact that we understand nothing. All ends in mystery, regardless of where you pick up the string of phenomena. The string always leads at last into the Mobius ring of eternity. Truth recedes before the seeker like a carrot upon a stick. If one is not careful, one can create one's own spiritual burnout. We suggest that the meditations be limited to perhaps no more than an hour per day, perhaps no more than a half hour at any one sitting. This is due to the fact that meditation is a very powerful tool, and the rate of change needs to be slow enough that the personality of your consciousness may have time to absorb knowledge and inspiration that it receives and make its choices in a timely and deliberate manner. It is not well to rush or to hurry the spiritual life, for the soul has its leisure, and in the fullness of time are things accomplished. It cannot be known within the illusion which day is the day of Jubilee for one entity, and that is not important. To seek the happiness, the contentment, this is not important. To seek the presence of the Infinite One, this is a great aid, and we suggest that we do this most gently, most lovingly, opening to the subconscious as a suitor with bouquet and candy, knowing the spirit to be sweet and precious, the nature of love. When you are aware that there is that jewel within, that crystallized entity within, it then becomes the goal to find that center of self, to find who one is, what one wishes, and how one wishes to go about the process of one's desires. Meditation is always most helpful, as is paying attention to the dreaming, which is a large part of the life of the deeper mind, and can constitute, in one who keeps a record of such things, an auxiliary report. Auxiliary, that is, to your experience as perceived on a conscious level. For within the dreams, those dynamics which may not be seen upon the surface, those feelings which may not be acknowledged or even known, move across the threshold of consciousness, and in some symbolic way express and manifest themselves. Thus, it is well to work with this material, as indeed perhaps 1/4 to 1/3 of one's time is spent in this method of relaxation of the body complex and restoration of the spiritual complex. We feel that we have spoken to those things that are most upon the minds of those present in a general way, and although we could move on and speak of many things, We are aware that each within this group is fatigued, and so we would at this time thank each for its attention to us. We wish each to know that we are your brothers and sisters. We are on the same path. We have moved further along this path, and we study the lessons of wisdom. We are those of fifth density, yet still we have, in order to experience that which aids us in accelerating our spiritual growth, a physical vehicle of a kind which requires nourishment, companionship, and the fulfillment of its nature. What is your true nature? Seek this. Seek to know it well, for it is the one who knows who he is in no uncertain terms that may move into the world of discarnate entities and be an equal among equals. It is most unfortunate that many of your peoples feel that they must be overcome by a greater power. The great power lies within each. It is simply a matter of choosing to seek the highest and best of that power. This is not done in a day. This is sometimes not done in a lifetime. But for all the difficulties of the spiritual path, shall we say, of hard knocks, there is the joy of companionship, the joy of learning, the joy of experiencing immediately the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. There are the oasis times. These are the sweet honey times that sustain one through the next day and bleak period within the life experience. Back and forth, each entity goes, for there is much to be learned from both frames of mind, especially if an entity can begin to focus upon difficult situations as challenges, a kind of game in which one attempts to find the love hidden in the situation at hand. When one once sees and is able to grasp the principle involved in the lesson being learned, either by analysis or intuition, one may then simply will to complete that lesson. So you see, all phenomena are corollary to the great work of consciousness itself. The disciplining of the human personality, the encouragement of the greater self within, the encouragement of its being able to speak in many different ways through the subconsciousness to the conscious mind. Always this produces the longer view, the more compassionate and wise point of view. For always one begins to see the pettiness of one's concerns and the overwhelming importance of love. We shall continue, leaving this instrument. We discovered that this instrument has tried very hard to get below 45 minutes, but we have outfoxed her once again. We are most apologetic. We really have not the sense of time that we would need to be able to limit our sessions as to time. We are simply able to limit them by the strength of the group energy, and this normally is that which this instrument would call long-winded. We hope we have not bored you. We hope you realize that all truths are personal. That which is your personal truth you shall recognize. There shall be no struggle. You shall simply say, "Yes, I knew that. I remember that." And that is your truth, for however long it is, your truth. Some truths are longer than others. Some are fleeting. None are permanent except unity. We would now leave this instrument asking each to continue the daily, faithful, moderate meditation, the centering whenever possible, momentarily within the presence of the one infinite creator, that the intersection of eternity and present moment may work its magic through you, that you may bring eternity into the lives of those about you. We are most pleased to have been able to join this group this evening. We would remind each that we are but pilgrims upon the journey of evolution, as are you, and wish that our words be carefully discriminated, that only those which are of value to you be kept in use. Please discard any that do not ring true. We would at this time take our leave of this group, leaving each, as always, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We are known to you as those of QO. Adone, my friends, Adone. Wow, yes. Thank you, QO. You went from one spectrum of thought all the way around. Blessings, my brothers and sisters, in the love and in the light of our Creator. I am Robert, and it has been my honor and pleasure to share this message with you. I love you.